Hi guys, Black Wolf here, and I'm reading 52. I have 3 chapters left, 52, 53, and 54. So here you go. A meeting of the regents was in full progress when Connor breathlessly entered the throne room. He was the only one who had come in late, and his arrival caused an unwelcome disruption. If there were any occasion for you to arrive on time, Lord Connor, this would have been it. The man who spoke was Joff Kerwin, King Chamberlain to King Egbert. High Chamberlain to King Egbert. He was almost as much as a part of the castle as the bricks and mortar, having served the king for his entire life. He wasn't a large or powerfully built man, quite the opposite in fact, and yet he could command a room of thousands with just the wave of his hand. There was no one who had been more loyal to King Egbert, and few who had ever loved Carthia so much. The lines on his aging face told the story of the years of worry and the weight of counseling royalty on their most difficult decisions. Now he was facing the greatest task of his career, peaceably finding a new king for Carthia. Because if civil war broke out amongst the different factions vying for the throne, Carthia's enemies would use the opportunity to advance on the country and destroy it. Connor gave a polite bow to Kerwin. My lord, High Chamberlain, I had trouble getting here. Forgive me, please. There are 19 other regents in the room, seated according to their rank at a long rectangular table. Connor's place was near the end, but he hoped that by the close of the evening he would replace Veldrath at the head of the table. This was a vain and largely useless group. Few who have ever worked a real day in their lives, even if they knew of the risk and expense Connor had undergone to bring a prince to the throne, they would never appreciate the valiancy of his efforts. Connor had accepted that it was his role to save Carthia, but his collection of stiff-necked, silk-wrapped snobs would never understand that. You may take your seat, Kerwin said. I have already made the announcement formally declaring King Egbert and his queen and son to be dead. In only moments, the death bell will toll one round for each royal. Almost immediately, the bell sounded throughout the castle. The ring would carry beyond the outskirts of the capital city and would signal to the commoners that a royal had died. 3 patterns of bells would confirm the rumors were true. The entire royal family was gone. When the bells fell silent, Kerwin continued. Lords Mead, Beckett, and Hensworth, who traveled to Isiel this past week, have confirmed for us that Prince Jaron must have died in the pirate attack 4 years ago. Therefore, we are left with no alternative to There's something more to that story. Connor's words were smug and tilted toward the self-righteous. This was a speech he had practiced so often in his head that he could repeat in his sleep. May I speak, Lord Corwin? Kerwin nodded permission to Adam, and Connor stood up. With deference to my fellow regents who searched for proof of Jaren's death this past week, they were wrong. Prince Jaren survived the pirate attack 4 years ago. He still lives. He is the rightful heir to the throne and should be crowned this night the king of Carthia. Veldrath stood, pointing a long finger at Connor. Then I was right. You did have him hidden at your home. Only for his protection, Lord Veldrath, until now. Surely you can see how his being alive may threaten anyone else who hoped to become king tonight. Is that an accusation? Veldrath began hurling obscenities at Connor. The 2 regents on either side of him held him back, and other regents around the table murmured loudly at one another. Finally, Kerwin stepped forward. So, where is this prince of yours, Lord Connor? He's coming. As I said before, he had trouble getting here. Naturally he did. I'm told there were several Prince Jarens who had trouble getting here. Connor spoke above the chuckles of peers. They didn't let anyone through the gate. No doubt the prince will punish the guards there for failing to recognize him. If he were the prince, he would have known how to get through. The royals always know how to get through. He must have forgotten. Connor's face paled, and he held on to the table for support. But Prince Jaren will be here. Then you'll see. Hearing footsteps in the hallway, he turned to the door as if unexpectedly. Almost as if unclear, somebody did enter, but it was not who he hoped to see. Mott? Connor said. Only regents are allowed in this meeting, Veldrath said. You may wait with the other guests and nobles in the great hall. That's where the new king will greet his people. But Mott seemed to see only Connor in the room. He's in here. He came through the kitchen a long time ago. Perhaps your false prince is lost in the castle. another regent said to his laughter. "He grew up here. Of course he's not lost." It was an attempt at confidence, but desperation cut too clearly through Connor's words. "I propose we continue this meeting." Telegraph waited until all eyes were on him and then added, "We must not keep the people waiting, and I'm sure whoever is chosen the king will want to speak to Lord Connor on the subject of treason." Then something must have happened in the adjoining room, the great hall where hundreds of citizens had gathered to wait for the announcement of the new king. What had happened? What had been a steady hum of conversation suddenly fell completely silent. Behind Ma, a castle servant burst through the doors. "Forgive me, regents," he said, forgetting the customary bow of his head, "but you shall come into the great hall as quickly as possible." Although there were 20 men and women, great status and power, while all trained in decorum and manners, no one would have known it by the way they hurried from the throne room. The only one who did not push his way out was Kerwin, who slid through a secret door between the throne room and the great hall. He was the first to see what had caused the entire crowd in the great hall to fall silent, for Prince Jared was standing at the head of the room. And I am almost done. I have exactly 2 chapters left, and this is like a really great book. So if you ever want to hear another like really amazing book, I will give out a list, and I will do audiobooks for them because I'm actually not afraid. This is actually really fun. Oh, my throat's really dry. Anyway, so please subscribe, and I will give you more. And you can pretty much tell me what you want me to do, and I will try to do it, and I will give you shoutouts. So, thank you, and subscribe. Goodbye.